folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild landscape of Scotland. And for today's adventure I've kind of just stopped at the roadside here near Cortachy, kind of between Kirriemuir and Cortachy, in the wild countryside landscape of Scotland here. And there's an interesting little bit of history here with this burn, and I thought I would kind of stop and just see if there's any remains of the history, because I'm pretty sure there's like some old wall or whatever down here. No way, check it out. This is like actually a cool bridge here, because it's the boundary. Canardy Estates at that side there, and then Cortachy and other such lands is at this side. And I can actually see two people up there in the field. It must be the farmer. Yeah, check it out here though, folks. This extra piece of wall, it's like it's been either broken off or there's been some sort of change made to the wall here. And apparently I got told back years and years ago, I can't remember, I think it was like the 50s or before it, this river here got redirected, or there used to be two little streams here, and they actually redirected the one which used to go that way. The old stream used to go right around the direction there, round the back of these trees on this hill. And then one year the burn was low and they were needing a lot more water for the mill at the farm, so they decided to actually put both the burns down the one route. And that's the way that we see it today here. Both the burns going down to this river here, which at one time must have powered the mill at the farm. And because I've got the wellies on, I was actually thinking about going down there, but it's just a mad scene out here, folks. I was just thinking about going down for a proper look at this little bridge. So check it out, folks. This is a tick-rich environment that we're in the middle of just now, and literally this time of year there's so many ticks out in the wilds of Scotland that you really have to be careful if you're walking through grassy areas like this. I can't even believe the temperatures. It's 18 degrees Celsius right now, whereas today we've just had such extreme rain. That's why I've not had a lot of adventures this week, and it's cool just to do a wee short video like this. The rain was on just so torrential today, but now it's just come out with this pure sunshine. Wow, this landscape here is just majestic, folks, and it's like I'm walking about in a paradise scene. I have put the wellies on, and it's a lucky thing because this ground here is super boggy, and I think when the river rises up it floods this whole area. But it is cool just to often get outside, get a bit of fresh air, and it's cool just to chuck the camera on, record a wee bit of Scotland like this. Oh, I just saw a fish jumping in the river here. I cannot even believe what I'm seeing. That was incredible. Wow, the water's so clear. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be too deep. I actually was half thinking about trying to walk along under the bridge. Wow, folks, right now we're in the river. I can't even believe it. My adventures are just pure spontaneous, and I never even know where I'm going to end up. And today I did not think I'd be standing in a burn. This time of year it's super warm, but the water actually still has a real cool feel to it. It's proper ice cold. Look at these incredible plants here. Look at that, folks, flowering at this time of year. And that bridge, it's an absolute postcard scene right there. It's quite bright with the sunshine behind it, unfortunately. So I'm not sure how well the stonework comes out with the light there. Yeah, but it's interesting to tell that story of how the two burns were merged into one to assist with the mill along at the farm. And it's amazing that there is little stories of history like that, even at a small corner in the road of the land here in Angus. I don't know if it comes out on the camera, but the far side of, I'm going to try and walk further over here. Yeah, the far side here, folks, of the sky, that far side there, it's pure grey, dark colour, and that's where it's heavy rain right now. I just basically followed the sunshine for this adventure. It's so cool. I can feel the coldness on the outside of the wellies, and it's quite refreshing when it's like 18 degrees Celsius out here. probably, you could just walk miles down a burn like this, but I think at times it probably gets too deep and it would breach the wellies for sure. There's actually an interesting thing as well, in this field over here, which looks like it's wheat this year, that was actually a Roman camp. And I'm going to do a more in-depth video of the Roman road and stuff that came up past Kirriemuir through Cadham Wood, and it actually reached up as far as this settlement here. And it's mad just to think the ancient Romans were as far like north as this area, and they actually had a thriving little settlement over here. And then further down the back of these hills, at the other side of Cortachy Castle, there's an incredible stone dam, or like a weir, which appears to have been built at an ancient time to redirect the river. It's crazy. There must have been a lot of that went on back in the day. They used to be so good at like using the water's power and the water's energy, and often those old mills and things, there's just not much of them left now, which is a shame. But on this channel I do my best to record them. I can't even believe this scene right here, folks. It's so cool. We're literally in a river. I'm going to try and get back out here on the shallow. Some of these bits are so deep here. Here we go. I'm stepping to these big stones under the water. Yeah, it's so weird, like walking when you're in a river, your feet are getting pushed as soon as you lift them up. Anyway, that was just a small nugget here for the start of the video, folks. The story of the old Inverquarity burn here that leads down through the Glen, and also a wee bit of agricultural history of how its route was changed for the mill. Wow, folks, I'll try and navigate my way through this. I hate when it's like this long grassy stuff. I have seen recently, this past weekend and that, I've seen a good few frogs and stuff running about. Ideal frog conditions when you get this rainy weather. Look at it here, the ground's just absolutely saturated. That's just like a bog. And that's how it's so handy here in the wellies. Anyway folks, on to the next part of this little adventure. I don't know where I'm heading, but we'll go and do something else. So stay tuned for the rest of the action. Alright folks, it's part 2 of this video. We've come to a second location, and I've no bothered about the wellies for this secondary adventure because I've come down near the village of Cortachy, which did feature recently, but I'm heading up the hill this time to a little location that I've only been one time before to visit, and I think it's a special location in this area. So we'll go and take a look at this. But see, after this there's actually a third location I'm going to stop at, because there's part of the road here in the wild countryside which is actually fallen away down the hill. So they've got traffic lights and stuff to stop the traffic, but the traffic lights weren't even working. It's like down to one lane. But I'm wanting to stop and just see how bad it is where the road's fallen away. But first we'll take a look at this incredible war memorial, which is here to remember the folk who fell in the war from this parish. The men who served their country and sadly lost their lives in the process. It's cool on these videos often to keep this little historical stories alive for sure. It's mad folks, I'm trying not to get run over here. All these little countryside roads. The cool thing, there's a little post box there at the side, and I'm telling you, like, the posties on these country roads, they hate to go to some mad like remote little places. Check it out folks, Glen, Clover Sheepdog trial, Sunday the 20th of August. It starts at 11 AM. The refreshments are on the field, so there you go. You should get yourself up there to the Sheepdog trials for sure. That's the kind of little local event, it's cool to support. And it could be something different, like something interesting, isn't it? They must be pretty much like rounding up the sheep with the sheepdogs and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Anyway, just check this out. So many times I drive past here, and it's just mad that this little monument sits in this forest here. Let's check it out, see the names on it. Let's remember the soldiers from this parish, folks. Yeah, so this is for the men of Cortachy and Clover who fell in the Great War, but also to the memory of these gentlemen here. Yeah, so it's for the memory of the folk in the Great War and World War II. Let's just take a look at this. It is interesting, sometimes the little stories of history and stuff. Sometimes there could be people's relations or family trees can often stretch back. Some of these names might be linked to people all over the world by now. Some of these families might be ancestors of like people from America or whatever country that watches this video. So it is interesting to see the different surnames and the different names. Incredible scenes, folks, and I love the stone carving, the detail they've gone on the cross as well at the ends. It's just like leaves and things wrapped around. It's so special to see when they spend this much time on a thing like this. It's cool to document it on the video here. Yeah, because there's a lot of folk that would maybe like to see things like this, but they could never come all the way up like Glen, Clover or Cortachy just to see an individual item. Here's an interesting sign as well about another thing which is going on in the local community here, folks. We'll leave this war memorial in peace until the next adventurer passes by this way. But check this out here. It's a bit windy out here and I do apologise for that. This is saying the Cortachy Flower Show and Games is going to be held on Sunday, August the 13th, folks. Check it out, this video has been an incredible advertisement for the Glen here. That's a few different events that I've been able to share with you. They're still to come. You've not missed them yet, folks. So the Flower Show and Games is actually held across the river from the Cortachy Castle, which is an incredible white castle which stands down here. It's now privately rented. Check this out, folks, we're now at the third location and I've just parked in pretty much at the Prosen Bridge here, and this has totally changed. I used to come to this waterfall here, I've not been for a long time, but now the waterfall's pretty much out in the open. All this forest here has been clear felled, but this area up here is actually where the road has fallen away, so let's go and take a look. It's absolute turmoil up here when there's cars coming up and down because the traffic lights is not actually working, so like everybody's not able to see if there's anybody coming the other way. It's pretty extreme, but it is pretty cool to see as well, just like how bad the road's falling away. That's why I'm going to head up there now, but because half the road's been coned off I should be able to safely walk. But yeah, these traffic lights have been here for a good few weeks now for sure, because I've not been up this way for probably like a month or whatever. Check out, there's a fine field of barley here to the right. You can often notice with the crops in the glens, they're sometimes a wee bit further behind than some of the crops down on the lower lands, like. But it's cool that they're able to grow the grain and stuff and the wheat, whatever up here, the barley. Wow, this is crazy, folks. As the road goes up here, it's like a steep hill. Here comes a car, so I'm going to actually cross over the road here to let it safely through. And check it out, the traffic lights here are not actually working. This is what's making it so dangerous. Check it out. Looks like it's been like that for days, like, because I think the recent flood waters has literally washed that away. That's the reason that these roads are starting to fall away. Look at this. See, there must have been a bench or something here at a certain time. See how the original wall here has been stepped out? For sure there was a bench. And that was probably back at a time where the world was more of a community and stuff like that used to be put in for people to maybe go on a walk on the weekend. You would stop at a place like that and sit down. You would get a rest, maybe have a cup of tea or whatever out of the flask. Anyway, I'm going to cross over here because this is a total madness, folks. Check this road out. Savage. Down to one lane. Yeah, so you can see the evidence here of the flooding and the heavy rain. And look, all these cones have been moved and shifted. But obviously whoever's doing the repairs have not been back round in time to like put things like this right. I'm not sure if some of these have been shifted as well. Because the traffic lights are not working, it's probably easier if people get caught out, they can maybe pull in to these gaps. But check it out here, folks, this is the reason that the road is closed. Look how the wall here has fallen away, and it just shows the land is like always moving, especially when we get that heavy rain and stuff like that. Just check it out, folks, see the whole wall's proper leaning up there, even down here. That's how I'm not going too near it. I'm not putting any of my weight on an area that's going to affect it here, folks. That is insane though. I just wanted to come up and have a look. This whole area here though is just savage, because literally that guy on the bike just went up and the van pretty much just wiped him out. But yeah, I'm not sure when they're going to fix this or whatever, and I'm not sure if it's the job of like the council or if it's actually the estate itself. But from the looks of things, the foundation of the road and stuff here is still solid. It just seems to be this old wall. And if you consider the amount of years that's passed since a thing like this was constructed, hundreds of years, and it looks like it's already had some crude repairs. Often with walls like this over the years, they've probably been clipped and hit with cars and crashed into. There's a cool gate lodge across at the other side of this field. It's obviously somebody's like private house, whatever, but it's just so incredible. It's one of Cortachy Estate's old gate lodges, and it's made with sandstone, but it almost looks like an old square tower. Look at this, surely all this wasn't caused from the flood waters. Like, there's just, most of the stuff here is just, it's like there's been a tsunami come through here or a typhoon. There's no even one of the cones in its original position, but that was the strength of this storm. I've come a little bit further up here to look over. Yeah, check it out up here, it's quite straight, the wall looks good, but as soon as it gets to that bit there, the embankment must be moving. The actual whole embankment's moving, but that happens everywhere in Scotland. It's the same thing at the Den of Airlie. The bridge has been shut there for ages because literally there's nothing underneath one end of it. All the foundations has washed out, and when you come across the bridge of Airlie, there's just a massive deep hole down through it. But yeah, let's head on back down anyway. That was cool. I just wanted to have a look over, because when you're driving past in the car, you can't actually see what the damage is, and I was interested to see. I was imagining there might be some big like sinkhole or whatever behind it that's been washed out, but it wasn't actually that dramatic in the end, folks. The rain's been so heavy, I can actually see that some of these crops here are flattened, and that's the same in a lot of the fields in Angus here. I can actually see there's a car coming through, so I'm just going to wait. I'm giving it plenty of room because there's obviously like one lane here. Yeah, looking up there, it's like post-apocalyptic scenes. Yeah, so I'm not sure if the water's gotten into the traffic lights and like shorted them out or whatever, but for sure they're not working. Check it out, folks, look where we are now. I could not resist but to come down and take a look at this waterfall, even though this is the kind of area that'll just be teeming with ticks. Like, we're just on this mission right here. Look at that, things on that leaf right there. There's just crazy things at this time of year, folks. Let's push on through. This is mad. This is some mad, like, sloppy, stony, horrible environment right here. But it's worth it to get down here to the waterfall. I'm literally crushing down some of these horrible plants as I go. Yes, we're making it, folks. It's the realest of adventures on this channel. Yes, folks, I always promise you the coolest of locations, and this is one of my favourite little waterfalls here. I'm pretty sure you call this like the frozen bridge. This time of year you can hardly see the bridge because of the trees, but I might try and get over there in 2 seconds. Let's go and try and take a closer look at this waterfall because it's so cool. if anybody comes to these places, they have to be so careful because these rocks are super slippy. And we just about lost the channel DJ into this waterfall one day before. It was one of the maddest things I've seen before ever. Like, the channel DJ was like upside down above this river and he managed to recover it and get back out without getting wet. Yo, this is so cool. Look at this, folks. This rock's got an old number scored into it. Like some ancient graffiti right there. Wow, I love this. Look at this scene right here. Wow, folks, I love a bit of waterfall action. It's so interesting just seeing landscapes like this carved from the rawest of water. And a few years ago, this was literally a forest behind me. This waterfall used to be sheltered from the dark forest. Yeah, these rocks are slippy because there's no sunlight coming into this small section. I'm just heading on down, so I'm wanting to get a decent view now, looking round towards the bridge. Check that out for an incredible scene, folks. Once again, we're walking about in paradise. You can see why I love exploring these places. Often at this time of year, it's so hard to get down to certain locations, but I just wish I could still get to places all year round, really. But you can see how overgrown stuff is. I was lucky that it's a short distance between here and the main road. Yes, I've made it round so we can get a decent view of this bridge. Whoa! There's a proper deep rock pool here, and in my underwater Angus videos years ago, I actually had some underwater footage of a fish here. Yeah, look at this, it's a proper little spot under here, folks. Look, there's a wee stream like flowing down this side. And then look at this over here, we've made it. This is proper deep. This is a proper deep pool here in front of me, and just look at the old bridge. Wow. This is a proper spot here, folks. I was just getting a couple of photos. I was just chilling watching the river. Sometimes I'm just blessed to have spots like this on my doorstep. This is proper solid bedrock right here. Just check it out. It's that kind of bedrock with the pebbles inside it, like we see other places. Sedimentary bedrock. Probably formed miles under the sea. Or not miles under the sea, but really deep under the sea floor. And then years later pushed to the surface via the movement of the tectonic plates as the world slowly warms up. That's just how geology is, folks. And it's mad just to see these rocks, the way they are, carved from the river, carved smooth. It's almost like somebody's got a knife and just sliced through so we could have a look. The softer sediments all get taken away by the river waters. And then I love seeing the old sandstone bridge built onto the foundation of this incredible bedrock. I think this river also would have been a lot lower until this rain that we got this last couple of days. It was so heavy. Right then, folks, this has been an absolute madness. I'm waiting to try and speed run this exit of this area here. Such a crazy environment when you're exploring these mad, overgrown, jungle-like terrains. Sometimes like one footstep wrong could result in you getting fully soaked. Yeah, and just look at this. I need to climb back out through this thick area. Whoa. There's so many of those wee flies on the surface of the water. Yes folks, check it out, we've made it back to freedom out of that mad jungle, and it's just amazing what adventures you can have. Sometimes if you just head outside and go full send into nature, sometimes in one area there's so many little things to visit and see. And look at this gate here's got the classic number 1861 on it right there. Just think about that history. I think this road was originally a main road up to a croft, which now uses another way of getting in. But an interesting thing, I was actually one time at a big standing stone up there on the hill at the far side, so one day I do intend on going back to that, folks. Here we go. We've got a tractor here heading up past us, folks. JCB Fast Track, shout out. Glen Clover farmer, I believe. That's the people keeping this area respectful, looking the way it does. Generations of farmers are the people that carved these lands, turned wild, unforgiving jungles into agricultural farmland. And nowadays it's just as popular up here as what it was originally back in the day. Anyway folks, we're ending this one here in this picture postcard scene of Scotland, and I'll be back soon with the next adventure. Wherever I end up going, we'll see you soon folks.